Statement of the night made in French by Victor Wembanyama. Game 2, Wolves Spurs. San Antonio at home, down 1-0. First quarter. Watch him influence both sides of the floor. Rudy Gobert, nope, not taking that shot. And now we're going the other way and stay with it. Spurs up, no good. Here comes Wemby. Come on.
How many times do you get a highlight on an offensive rebound for a player who wasn't in the frame?
A magnet to the rim.
Here's some more.
Oh, that's great.
Wembanyama.
You can see it
early.
Yes, that's the mission. Get in the paint, not on the three-point line.
Late in the first half here, Spurs are up by 14. Remember, Wembanyama was 0 for 8 from 3 in game 1.
Deep one.
Right on cue.
Deep.
Good call. Good call, Alan.
He had 14 points in the first half last night. Spurs up 17.
Watch the catch, Michael. Watch the catch.
And straight up. Shot clock down, totally aware.
Watch him shoot this in the air.
Totally aware. What a talent.
Is that an alley-oop three?
Spurs by 29. That's Vassell again. Spurs by 25. That's a 4-point play. Minute later, Stephon Castle, they just come at you in waves, Michael.
They do. Harper, Castle. We haven't mentioned De'Aaron Fox yet.
No, and he had a great first quarter.
Everyone knows Wembanyama. What you don't realize is this team is loaded with guys who are all about the same size and can all do stuff. And there's Wembanyama again. Wemby, 19 points, 15 boards, 2 blocks. This one was over early. San Antonio handing Minnesota its largest postseason loss in franchise history. The 38-point win, the third largest playoff win in San Antonio's history. Here was Minnesota head coach Chris Finch after the loss.
Well, I mean, they just kicked their butt in every aspect of the game tonight. So offensively, defensively, it didn't matter. They took it to us, and we didn't really respond very well.
What do you say to your team after a tough loss like this, or do you let the stat sheet speak for itself?
No, I just told them we just got punked.
They got punked in game 2. It's all even going back to Minnesota. Winman, number 1 takeaway.
Repeatedly so far in this playoff journey for the Spurs, they've impressed me. Several, series 1 against the Blazers, they lose Victor Wembanyama. That's 1-1 going up to Portland. They fall down in the first half. They respond. Game 4, Wembanyama comes back. They fall down again. They respond. They have a very narrow, frustrating loss in game 1. Their vision, they're sticking to their game plan, their intensity right out of the gate in this one, they respond. Now, winning the first 5 playoff games and winning the next 5, 2 different stories. But for a team whose biggest impediment is its lack of experience and time together in these moments, I continue to be impressed with how they handle their business. They handled their business. Here's where I was really impressed. It was a 24-point game at halftime, right? They come out in the third quarter like a veteran team and push it to 40. Because they don't want to mess around. The Spurs are impressing me by the week right now.
This is like what Wendy's my bad. What Wendy's talking about is maturity. And that's something that we keep questioning about this team. This Spurs team. You lose a game 1 like that at home, sometimes that can be crushing to a young team. How do you recover? Maybe they overreact to game 2. They handled that game 1 loss as well as you possibly could for a frustrating loss you could have, and walked into game 2 saying, we're going to get back to playing our game. That's the maturity factor for a very young team. That's why you've got to take this team seriously.
You know where I found that? I found this story after our show yesterday. So after game 1, after the Spurs had lost game 1, Wembanyama walked over to De'Aaron Fox. They whispered briefly at their locker, and they walked away laughing. And Wembanyama was asked what he said. Fox was, and he said, we talked about how we were in a good place. We played like bleep, and we lost by 2. That's what a mature team does. A mature team doesn't panic. They say, we're actually in good shape. We play as bad as we can play, and we still almost won.
There's something inside of Wemby, specifically, Wembanyama, that helps facilitate that. He hates losing at a level that reminds me of the GOATs, the Council of GOATs. He hates losing like Bird hated losing, like Jordan hated losing, like Isaiah Thomas hated losing. He hates losing in a way that, even as pleasant as he is, all right, with that wonderful lilt in his accent, he probably made it a little uncomfortable in that locker room in the day that they had. And you look at his demeanor last night, he wanted to crush them. And Minnesota, they were back on their heels, and Anthony Edwards talked about this. He thought, okay, we got to come in like the mature team that does not settle for the effort of game one. We got game one. Let's not come in here and have human nature dictate the terms of our performance. That's exactly what happened. But the human nature of the other dude,
I was about to say.
Wembanyama hates. It's like, remember when he was crying after the Olympic game, and then after they lost the game in Vegas, his first time in the Cup. That's the level of hatred of losing I'm talking about that affects that team.
So you go on the road with the intention of stealing one, and the Timberwolves did that. Then they get, in their own coach's word, punked in game two. So who has the advantage in this series now headed back to Minnesota?
I would give it slightly to Minnesota just because they stole a game. But to me, if this San Antonio team continues to demonstrate the maturity that we're talking about, they're looking to go and make a statement in game two, or game three, rather. Now, I do think that Minnesota should be credited for the type of grit and maturity that they have. The issue when I look at it as Minnesota is how healthy are they? What's going on with Anthony? Is he improving through this thing, or is it going to rob him of some of his bounce, which is quintessential to his game? Is Ayo Dosunmu coming back? Like the whole thing.
Winman, quick final word.
I'm thinking about Wilbon's Council of Goats.
Yeah, me too.
They've got to meet with fine Corinthian leather. It's so mentally difficult to play against Victor Wembanyama that you need perimeter scoring. Ayo Dosunmu came back last night, didn't look good, couldn't make an outside shot. Ant Edwards, his first 5 shots are threes. He misses those. They need scoring from their guards going forward when they go back to Minnesota.
A completely different game, too, than game one. As Wilbon predicted yesterday, much more competitive on the Sixers side, but the Knicks still pulled it out late. So, Michael, what was the key to New York's ability to win this game down the stretch?
Well, the Knicks are certainly capable of playing stifling defense. I don't think that was the case down the stretch last night. Sometimes, people talk about make or miss league, which may be a phrase I hate, but it's true so often. And it wasn't stifling defense. There were so many good looks that the Sixers had down the stretch after taking a 3-point lead. I believe it was 99-96. And they had been 12 for 24 on 3-point shooting. And then they go 1 for their last 12. They go, they missed 9 out of 10 late after taking that lead. So, and many of those, if not wide open, were good enough looks. And the Sixers certainly felt last night it wasn't a case of anything defensively that happened to them. They happened to them. They couldn't shoot straight enough to close out after taking that marginal lead. They were right there the entire game. And they did a pretty good job on Brunson, who had volume, but wasn't all that efficient. And I'll give credit to Philly's defense for that and having to play without Joel Embiid. They managed that, but not being able to make a shot the last 4 minutes of the game was a killer.
And we'll see if Embiid is able to suit up as the series moves to Philadelphia for Game 3. Looking ahead to tonight's games, Wilbon, both the Cavs and the Lakers down 1-0 in their respective series. I'm curious which Game 2 tonight intrigues you more and why.
Well, I'm still trying to convince myself that OKC can be really challenged by the Lakers, and maybe that will happen. But I'm not starting with benefit of the doubt there tonight. I'm starting with Cleveland, which played Detroit dead even in the regular series. Was able to come back from a fairly large deficit in game 1 to tie it, but just had too many turnovers. I mean, James Harden spoke to it, and Mitchell and Harden, Donovan Mitchell and James Harden, are going to have to play without turning the ball over freely. Those 20 Cleveland turnovers resulted in, I believe, 31 Detroit points. And for a team that sometimes has trouble scoring, the Pistons, of course, you can't give them that kind of assistance. So I would expect a cleaner game from the Cavaliers tonight in Game 2, even though they're still in Detroit. But I would expect if one team's going to even the series tonight, I would think it would be the Cavaliers and not necessarily the Lakers.
Yeah, Lakers a 15.5-point dog in that game, too. By the way, just the start of another busy day for you here, Michael, as we take a look at all the shows you appeared on yesterday. Take a look at this.
Show me that.
Well, at least you're done with it, right? By the way, tell Greeny to take it easy on you today after running through that gauntlet yesterday as you appear on Get Up after us.
All right. I'm going to give him that advice. We'll see if he listens.
Good luck.
Is our playoff MVPs are Michael Wilbon. To a team out of the playoffs, so the Bucks want to have Giannis Antetokounmpo's future resolved before next month's NBA draft. The Greek Freak has spent his entire career with the Bucks, but after 13 seasons, he said he wants to play for a franchise committed to competing for a championship. Here's Bucks owner Jimmy Haslam on Giannis.
I just think before the draft is a natural time, right? Because you're going to you know, if Giannis does play somewhere else, then we ought to get a lot of assets, and that's John's job to do it. If he's here, then you build the team differently. So, and I think that's also necessary. I just want to stress, though, that our relationship with him is very positive.
Is this a decision that keeps you up at night?
It's a big one. It's a big one, and you got to get it right. And John knows it, and Wes knows it. And we didn't hold back with Taylor. We just said, listen, he may or may not be with us, so don't come because of that, because you want to be straight up with people.
Whether he stays or goes, Giannis has definitely left his mark on the Bucks franchise. Giannis is one of 4 players that is a franchise's all-time leader in total points, rebounds, and assists.